Hey guys, this is the last screencast I'm going to do for this particular part of the curriculum for China. And I just wanted to debrief for a second that Uyghur video. I mean, I think you kind of get the picture of what it's like when China wants to control you. This is really, there are a lot of people that are very upset about this. Reputedly over 1 million Uyghurs have been detained in these camps, and it's, huge human rights violations and so forth. And they are just trying to brainwash them and assimilate them into regular Han culture. And, again, just like Tibet, it's it's all tied up in China's Belt and Road Initiative. And there's oil in Xinjiang as well. So this is going to be something highly controlled by Xi Jinping. If we were together, we'd be discussing this. It would be super interesting, and we'd talk about, how long this is going to be going on, and whether you think any of these people are going to be coming out of these camps. I mean, it doesn't look like many people are coming out of there. And so how long can you keep a people in this camp situation? So I don't know. I mean, right now China's consumed by coronavirus, and you wonder if people in Xinjiang are getting this and what's happening. But this just again emphasizes what's going on with these minority groups in the autonomous regions, both Xinjiang and Tibet. I would also ask you, which one do you have more sympathy for? It's really hard to get sympathetic towards any kind of terrorism that is being sponsored. At least the self-immolations are not hurting any innocent people, whereas the terrorist activities of Xinjiang, that is not the case. So at the same time, they want their independence. They don't identify with the majority. Their religion is being stripped from them in both cases. It's not a good situation for either one. All right. So, where are we? One China, two systems. We're going to take a look at both Hong Kong and Taiwan and call it a day. All right, Hong Kong. Here we go. 1997. Britain will cede back to Hong Kong, or Britain will cede back to China, Hong Kong, after 156 years. Remember, this was at the aftermath of the Opium Wars, and as a response to the unequal treaties and most favored nation status of Britain and whatnot. China, way back 150 years ago, had to give up one of its most vibrant port cities, Hong Kong. And now, pursuant to the agreement, they're getting it back. China calls this one country, two systems, because in theory, at least, Hong Kong is supposed to be governed under a at least quasi-democratic system until the year 2030. The idea is that slowly but surely Hong Kong would assimilate into mainstream China. But China hasn't taken it slowly but surely. Instead, they have tried to horn in on this much too quickly, and it has caused people who have lived with democracy forever to really object. And this agreement says that Hong Kong would be able to continue its own government, economic system, trade relations, etc. for 50 years, so technically 2047, but they had said at least until 2030 that they would leave Hong Kong alone, and that's not what has happened. They've tried to worm into the elections and decide who can run for political office. That has really bugged especially young people. And in 2014, this led to the Umbrella Revolution, where primarily young people, again, you can see the umbrellas down here. The umbrellas were actually meant for tear gas that was meant to break up the protests. And, they're unhappy. They don't want Beijing controlling their elections. They don't want this pretend facade of a democracy when Beijing is choosing the people who can run. This is the same thing they're doing at the village level. So in their opinion, it violates the agreement that says things will stay the same for 50 years. And I've got a short video on the Umbrella Revolution. it's really hard to give up democracy when you've had it. It's freedoms, it's your ability to choose your own representatives, it's civil liberties, it's civil rights, it's all these things that you and I take for granted, and they're trying to get rid of it because the Chinese Communist Party has no political freedoms. So this is not going to go well, I predict, over the next couple of decades. It's already not going well. And, I think coronavirus has put everything on hold for now. But we're going to have to watch this closely because I don't think we've seen the end of the protests in Hong Kong. And one country, two systems, most of the people of Hong Kong, they are not buying it. All right, Taiwan is the other region that is part of this whole one country, two systems, because Taiwan is, in China's perspective, also part of China. They view it as part of the one country, two systems. Well, Taiwan thinks of itself as nothing of the sort. It has been a republic since, Chiang Kai-shek was driven from the mainland in 1949. And so, they were considered the Republic of China until the 70s when the PRC was recognized. But it has enjoyed a very free country that isn't a recognized state but would love to be. And that is because of China. They reject it. They're part of the Security Council of, they're a permanent member of the Security Council, and they can reject this all day long, that Taiwan would be part of that would be its own state. So that said, China and Taiwan get along pretty well. Taiwan's the biggest trading partner of China. So, relations are what I would say delicate on both sides. Depending on who's in charge in Taiwan, and so far they've gotten to elect their own representatives and have for many, many years. I just, if we were in class, I'd be asking you, do you think that China would make a play for Taiwan militarily? And I don't know that they have much to gain by that, because the West would get involved and there'd be all this international hoopla and China would have to deal with that. I think for now, they are content to leave it as is, but they continue to call it one country, two systems. And what was interesting is, I think one of the first phone calls that President Trump made when he became president was to the Taiwan president. And that really bugged Xi Jinping, that Taiwan would somehow get preference in terms of communication with the United States. So they're very sensitive about it. They're very sensitive about Hong Kong. They don't like Xinjiang. They don't like Tibet and all of their antics. They keep very, very close tabs on all of these places. So getting back to the original, what are the cleavages? Yes, it's urban-rural first, but it's definitely ethnicity and national identity second. All right, you guys, that's what I got. Stay safe, stay healthy. I will move forward with the political economy as soon as I can. Thanks.